Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Emily Sophia, aka Mighty Sophia, here to break down for you guys Bates Motel Season 4, Episode 2, Goodnight, Mother. So, spoiler alert before I dive into the mad thick of things, as I shall be doing my best to bear all in this very eventful little review. And of course, if there are any glaringly obvious details that I fail to address in a meaningful way in this review, I would love for you guys to do me the favor of bringing those things up in the comments so that we can discuss and weep and rejoice and, exhibit whatever other emotions there are to feel together in the comments below. It's gonna be a good time. So, without further ado, I'm gonna do my best with what unfolded tonight because this was a climactic episode, if there ever was one, and definitely makes me feel like we are, in fact, in the penultimate season of this show. Finally, there are revelations that are unfolding. And Mother is taking new forms, and Norman is finding kind of a new relationship with Mother, and that in turn is, of course, causing him to completely conflate the Mother persona with the person of Norma Bates. Now, this episode was absolutely filled to the brim and overflowing with probably some of the most phenomenal performances that we have seen in the show yet. I don't think I'm being too generous when I say that this is hands down an Emmy nomination for Freddie Highmore. I mean, good freaking Lord, that scene in the basement, and even the, some of the prior scenes in the kitchen as all things are coming to a head and he's having this revelation about who, supposedly, Norma is and what she's been up to and how she needs to be put in her place. Not as a woman, of course, but as a killer. So, oh my goodness, what fun, what amazing material for Freddie Highmore to get to sink his teeth into. I mean, with every season, we have seen him, just completely fill out the psycho role. He is stepping into those shoes and dancing the blues. He knows exactly what he is doing and what this descent looks like. This is also an episode that really, really makes me want to rewatch the seasons prior because the character of Mother has changed so dramatically, or well, I guess you could even say subtly over the past few seasons. I can't help but keep thinking back to the very first time that we saw Mother. And it was in that room with Miss Watson. It was Norma with her hair pulled back, looking very chaste in a black dress. And now, of course, we see that things are they're a little bit more garbled, more distorted. There are these flash through moments for Norman in which he sees very clearly whom he supposes to be his mother. It's like this out of body experience, and he just gets these little tastes, these little electrifying moments of, oh God, Mother, what have you been up to? And I loved the dynamic between Norman and Norma this week, because it wasn't even so much about Norman taking on the person of Mother or playing dress up or any of that jazz, of course. And in fact, he actually starts off in a place of, kind of seeming like he understands his situation. He knows that he doesn't want to be separated from his mother, but he's seeing that there are some things that are not quite correct. And the crazy irony of it all is he assumes that the reason why his mother locked him in her room not to get groceries, not for that delicious looking turkey pot pie. I mean, Norma, call me up because I will come to dinner with you. But he assumes that it is to protect him from her, not to protect him from the world. So the further we go down this rabbit trail, the further the splits, and there is definitely this divide in Norman's mind, and I'm so curious and so fascinated to see how things continue to unfold for him, especially with the blossoming marriage of Norma and Alex Romero, who oh so sweetly, and not even in Norma's presence, very offhandedly accepts her marriage proposal and decides to put his dirty dollars to good use in putting Norman away from the world in ostensibly a good place, but I don't know. I've seen a couple sneak peeks of forthcoming episodes, and it looks like happy times are not about to make their way to us. So don't be holding your breath, because you are going to turn as blue as Vera Farmiga's piercing eyes. I will tell you that much. But yeah, there was so much that I loved about this episode, and probably most of all was the fact that it was so intensely focused on Norman and Norma, and that is how it had to be. That was the only way that it really could be for Norman to reach this revelation. And in fact, I mean, that moment in the basement where he decides that, it's this very Romeo and Juliet thing, except he's kind of making the proposal to Norma after she makes her way down through the darkened horror house with this old-timey film playing on the laptop, and she's making her way around with a freaking knife. I mean, what a fantastic sequence that was. And then all of that culminating in finding Norman in the basement, and he's facing away from her, and you assume that he's got something terrible out on the cutting board, but he just lively turns around, and oh God, just the way that Norman just arrests the viewer and arrests Norma and freezes her, well, dead in place. It's so crazy because you can't believe the words that are coming out of his mouth. You can't believe that these things are being said, that this is actually happening. This is actually the real deal. And Norma can't do anything but cower in fear. Because we know Norma she's got this visceral built-in fight or flight response. And she completely draws back, completely recedes. We even see her pulling out some of her seduction techniques earlier on after Norman has the gun. I mean, good freaking Lord. My Freudian scale is a tingling, ladies and gents. So bust out your psych books and, light a nice candle and yeah, let's have a little chat. But anyway, so many thoughts are whirling and swirling in my mind. But yeah, so pretty much the conclusion that Norman comes to is the fact of the matter is they're both broken. They're broken human beings. And the only thing that they can do at this point is to take themselves out of the equation. Because he knows that the two of them are inextricably linked. They cannot be divorced or separated from one another, much less by a certain Sheriff Romero. I'm just saying. And so, seeing as Norman knows that he too is messed up, even if it is, quote unquote, Norma who killed the woman in the scarf, who he still doesn't know was Emma's mother, he realizes, like, you know what? I'm going to make the sacrifice and I'm going to go down with you. And it's just so beautifully, unbelievably messed up. And then if we backtrack a little ways beforehand, we also see things coming to a head over dinner as Norman is putting all of this together and comes outright to accuse Norma. And that, of course, starts the whole song and dance through the house and the gun and the knife and the, sugar and strife and everything. Knife? I don't know what I'm saying. I am tired and I have had a drink, which I think is fully fair considering this episode. But yeah, so he refers to Miss Watson, to Bradley and everything, and of course to the fact that he believes Norma did all of this out of her own jealousy, bringing it all back into the thing that really makes Mother tick, where it all began. So this, I think, is definitely a step in the right direction as far as the madness and mayhem goes. And I'm very pleased that we got to have so much screen time with, of course, Norma and Norma, and two of the most fabulous actors in the game, in the show, rockin' my world. I would be so ecstatic to see Vera or Freddie, at the very least, get Emmy nominations for their roles. I mean, they have deserved it from the freaking get-go. This is why I am still with the show, is because they so embody the spirits of these characters. The chemistry continues to be off the charts. I mean, gosh, I keep clinging on to that scene with Norma. I mean, she's shaking and crying and trying to just gently kiss Norman, you know, like so many thousands of times before. And again, this is Norma she is using every skill that she's got in her little cookbook of ways to disarm your enamored son with a gun. And Norman is not quite having it. I mean, he like, seeing him in control and so calm, yet he is just in this alternate reality. For most of the episode, he is in this completely parallel state of mind where Mother is Norma, is Norman, but he still sees himself on the outside of Mother's actions. And it actually leads Norma to the point that she goes down into that pit to try to find the body of this woman. She is absolutely losing her mind. And of course, meanwhile, on the outside of things, we've got Emma and Dylan, and Emma's got her brand new pair of lungs that she's breaking in for the first time, and despite her scratchy voice, is finally finding herself. And, you know, Dylan's like, oh, you're gonna unleash yourself on the world. And it's like, how about you guys just, like, travel to Spain? Just, like, once you leave Portland, get on a plane, get on a ship, get on whatever freaking vehicle it takes you to get as far away from White Pine Bay as possible, because you do not want to know what is going down at this epicenter of love and murder. You do not want to be a part of this business. Trust me, I think that the motel is doing a-okay. And, you know, the fewer people I've come to know and love that I see die in this show, I think the better. That's what I'm going to say at this point. But yeah, just a lot of high points for me, a lot of fabulous dialogue, so interesting to kind of see these different roles that Norman and Norma have taken on, because we've seen the fear and the sadness of Norman, we've seen the rage of Norma, and now there is this calm, collected quietude in Norman that is more toxic to Norma than anything else. And it's like Norman says at the end when she finally comes out to play, after, you're expecting some ridiculous jump scare, it's not going to happen, but she's making her way through the dark house, down all those hallways, and finally finds him, and he's like, I knew exactly how to draw you out, how to lure you to me. By ignoring you. So there's just so many parts of their dynamic that comes to surface in this episode. I'm definitely feeling like they're doing the story justice. And now, of course, Norman is being taken to receive psychiatric care. He does actually fill out the forms. He gets the paperwork done. I gotta say, too, it was nice to see Norman work in the front desk and charming people, and it's like, okay, clearly this is how he is going to uphold the business long after certain events go down. Now, the whole thing with seeing his dad surface was a little weird, but, You know, the episode was so strong in general. I am feeling more excited than I have in a long time. So I hope you guys are in this with me. Let me know what I missed. I love, love, love you guys. And as always, I will be back before you know it.